behalf of the majority, Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, let me thank you well, I guess what would come first is that in the Army they teach you never volunteer. And there's a reason for that, because volunteers get put to work in a substantial way. But I really want to reverse that and thank you for getting me to volunteer on the Committee for Justice Reform. It has been worthwhile, and I hope it will be productive. We have produced an interim report, and Keir Gray, who is a co-chair that you appointed, wanted to title this report "A Shift from Reentry to Pre-Entry," which when you addressed the committee, at first we wanted to figure out it's easier to prevent people from getting in the pipeline than once they get in, trying to bring them back into society. So we are spending a lot of our time on that. I want you to know that working with CJAB, Criminal Justice Advisory Board, working with the Mayor's MacArthur Foundation, Judge Lerner and his staff, members on this committee are Councilman Johnson, Councilwoman Blackwell has been at meetings, and Councilman Heenan has been at meetings to offer input to the interim document you see here today. We started out, we had, I think, 4 major, long hearings, starting with Councilman Johnson's gun violence resolution, where we heard passionate testimony from the victims of what occurs when these incidents happen throughout our neighborhoods. We discovered in our research that there are 48 zip codes in the city of Philadelphia. 11 of them occupy 87% of the inmates up on State Road. It is also not lost to us that in those 11 zip codes where those populations come from, those are where most of the 23 schools we closed come from. And so if you can find what the causes are, if a kid can't read by the time they're 4 years old up to par, we know how many cells to build by the time they're 18, you can reverse engineer some of the solutions which you've insisted upon. So this report talks about a couple of key things, Mr. President. The tenets of it are to initiate a reduction of the prisoner pipeline, strategies to prevent young people's involvement early in the criminal justice system, systematic change to reduce the population up on State Road, moving those inmates out, reducing recidivism by making improvements and enhancements to local reentry programs, and institute evidence-based programs that work. Find evidence-based programs that work. And that's going to be difficult because every program can make you feel good, but you have to know how much good costs and how to make these investments. You insisted that we do our work quickly because we have the budget process coming up. And if we're going to make substantial investments in criminal justice, we need to start that process now. So what were the 3 key things that are in this interim report? We did the report for the summer. It was real easy, low-hanging fruit. Increase jobs for young people, increase activities, watch out for hot spots. That was easy. What we want to do now is to pay attention to what many people who came in and testified before have reinforced through these hearings. One, we want to do a new risk assessment model. Just because a person has a bad day doesn't make them a bad person. We have to figure out who is a risk to themselves and the rest of the community and society, and we need to hold them. Those who are not a risk to themselves or society, we met with young people up in prison. A couple of them that were there because they could not afford $100 bail. We were paying $120+ a day to keep them there. Does not make sense. Second thing that we want to invest in is GPS technology. To be able to say, all right, we want you back among us, but we want to know where you are at nighttime when it's going down in the DM. So we are going to invest in that to make sure we know that you're where you cannot create harm for yourself and others. The third we got from Councilwoman Blackwell, day reporting centers. Day reporting centers where, as opposed to going to jail, you can be among the community, paying back the community by cleaning lots or removing graffiti. No, we're not talking about chain gangs. But what we are talking about is going back to the community you took from and giving something back. And then during the day, let's work on your issues. If it's drug addiction, if it's anger management, if it's a lack of education or a trade, let's work on that. And then at night, you're going home to your family, hopefully, but you're going home. You don't have to go home, but you do have to get out of here. So at the end of the day, we want to shift from reentry to pre-entry, which is prevention. We've heard a lot of good testimony from a lot of good people, and we're taking it to heart, and I want to thank you again for emphasizing that we put our money where our mouth is. That if we are really trying to change this paradigm, then we have an opportunity to do it, and we have it within our means to get it done. Thank you, Mr. President.